brand MacInnis. You're the publisher of M. Can you tell us what is M?
Yeah, well, M, I used to, when I came to New York about 10, 15 years ago already now, I started a gallery and ran that for a couple of years, and moved down to Soho, I think in about 95 or so. And the M was just for my initials, MBM. And then, so originally it was MBM Gallery. Then a friend of mine was telling me that it would be interesting to move over to Chelsea. This was like in 96, 97. And so at that time, the main incentive to go there was that Soho was getting very expensive for gallery dealers and stuff. So you could get a huge space, actually very similar to this space. So I heard that Stefan Stux was a gallery dealer who was getting back involved in the art world over in Chelsea. And so he was going to do a deal with somebody to take a floor in one of the buildings there. And I guess that didn't work out. So somebody said, hey, why don't you talk to me? And so I got in touch with him, and we got we got along pretty well with our ideas about what kind of art we want to show. So I opened up I moved to Chelsea with a much bigger space for less money, which is really what kicked off the whole development. And then I started the magazine, then called M, the Chelsea Art Guide. And I just shortened it to M because it was MBM, and I just said, well, let's just have one M. And then I'm a fan of these old Fritz Lang movies, and I said, well, this would be kind of neat to kind of, I like the idea of just that red Helvetica M. And I just said, well, this would be good. And so we put the M, when you see this slide presentation we put together in the beginning, and this is important actually because the magazine from the very beginning was always means tested. In other words, when there was it was always supported by the people who use it. It wasn't a thing where somebody came in with a lot of money and said, oh, I think I'll spend money on this thing until I'm bored, you know. So it began as like a 12-page black and white magazine, and I wanted the M in red, but it had to be black and white because that's what our budget was. And so we printed 10,000 copies every month, which is actually a lot of magazines for a small region area in New York. So we basically saturated Chelsea with M, the Chelsea Art Guide. From 97 to 98, we changed. Then everyone was interested, so we changed the name to the New York Art World in 98, and then we encompassed all of the other districts like Midtown, Uptown, and Williamsburg and stuff like that. So from 98 to about 2000, 2001, the magazine grew really quickly, and we went to color. And it was still an ad-based magazine with ads from galleries and stuff, and it was supported that way. But then we hit this business with September 11 in 2001, and so we lost most of our advertising. But at the same time, just by chance, it was around the same time that I introduced over the summer, we introduced the membership structure for the magazine. So. We sort of planted the seeds for this, introduced it, and the membership meant that we introduced the website also. So my thinking was, and this is where it gets into the concept of the magazine, which kind of goes a different way as other art magazines. I was uncomfortable with the idea, even though it was a successful model at that time, that you're taking advertising from the same people you're covering editorially. So there's always that constant pressure, you know. So I wanted to remove that, and when this whole September 11th thing hit, we lost most of our advertisers anyway, and we had also other guys. We had who is it? This French auction house, Art Price, had the back cover wrapped up for a couple of years. Everybody, even their contracts, couldn't continue. So I thought, gee, what are we going to do here? So right after that, like in October, well, we did one cover. In October. We did an issue with no ads and no editorial, and just a photo essay, photos that I shot around New York with all of this mess here, and then in the end of September and early October, all of these people who we proposed to become members, they all started becoming members. So we had almost no revenue from the ads, but suddenly we had a whole revenue stream from the members. And so we were up to about 60 pages or so with a lot of color. So I said, then we scaled back to 40 pages, and so we went back to just what the membership covered. And I said, hey, this is really interesting because we can have most of the content of the magazine can be made up of writing and news and listings, and with it, and then it's all supported by members. So what we started to do, we said, let's focus on just the members. So I didn't feel comfortable with approaching people about selling ads in that period, but other people actually, it didn't bother them to go out and sell ads. So we got behind. You got other people started to move into our old territory, like you've seen a lot of these Chelsea maps and all this other stuff turning up. So they kind of picked up a lot of the ads that we weren't going after anymore, and we just kind of gradually grew the membership thing. And then we increased it to jump down to Miami, and we did just as we moved from Chelsea to incorporate New York and Williamsburg, and we were one of the first listings of magazines to recognize Williamsburg as another venue, as another destination. So we were the first to develop Miami. So we developed that, and we continue that. And the ad structure comes, the advertising we have is mostly from the art fairs that we participate in and stuff that adds value to the magazine. And the ads now that we focus on are not related at all to things we cover editorially, like high-end boutique hotels or Steinway, for example. We don't have music reviews. We don't review products, so there's no question about the editorial integrity. So that's the key thing. That's always been my thing. And it's also important to note that the membership structure, my idea was to follow, say, the PBS or the NPR structure. There's a public broadcasting network. We're not non-profit, but we have that same interest in focusing on quality. So we have the members are made up from on the one hand the high end, like museums and MoMA and PS1 and the really high-end galleries, but we keep the same price, very low price, even lower than most non-profit prices, so that even a little gallery out in the East Village somewhere you didn't hear of, they can pay that membership fee. They have access to it. And so to bring this up to date with the hardcover, the thinking is we want to connect the sort of the ground, the people who use the magazine, maybe you, or to find out information and not just read about stuff because somebody advertised and so you're reading the same people all the time, but you can actually find a new gallery. That's why the New York Times, when you look through a media kit, we have a nice quote from Ken Johnson, who uses the magazine, and he did a little testimony to say why people use it to find stuff, that they wouldn't know about otherwise. And when I tell people what to go out and review, I tell them always cover stuff, look for stuff that's not been written up somewhere else. So a lot of times when we get an artist or somebody, a dealer, come say, hey, I've got a great artist used to do a show on him. He's been covered in the Times. He's been in Art in America. And actually it works against them because what can we do for you, Because our readers want to find something that they didn't read about yet, And so that's the thing. Now the hardcover, I got the idea to say, well, we've got really good writing in the thing, but we've got a really tight production turnaround, so we can't go as much in depth as I'd like with the monthly. We can do basically what everyone else does, sort of art essay reviews to some degree. But I wanted to have something like, if somebody wanted to do a story like, let's say, what you might read in the New Yorker, something that would take some research, maybe do a research of how the development of Chelsea, how this thing came about, do some interviews with people and whatnot. Or let's say, what happened, how did all this happen in Miami? Why is Miami suddenly interesting? Have somebody go down and do the research, and because we don't play that game of, oh, we'll take an ad for you if you do a profile on one of our artists, we don't play that game at all. So with the hardcover, and building it on the reputation we have for integrity, and it's true, people, if you talk with anybody, they know that we don't do that other stuff. So people are going to read something, and we can tell a real story, and people can pick it up and keep it. So the hardcover is intended as like a book of record, and it's a hardcover so that people keep it, and it lasts, and it's only twice a year. So each time it comes out, we want to do like a little event like this here. We follow it up with an event in Miami, and next month we're doing the Arte Americas Fair, and we're going to do an arrangement with either the Sagamore or the Tides Hotel to do something similar to what you see here. And basically no frills, you know, just say here's the magazine, invite people who want to come around and talk about things, and invite gallery owners and artists and people in media like yourself, and so that's pretty much it. Yeah.
How many pages will you have in the hardcover version?
Well, what you have is a sample version to take home with you, and this is printed in the same quality as the hardcover. And it has one typical interview, which would be in the sampler is only 16 pages. We think the hardcover will be around 60 pages. Between 60 to 100 pages, and we don't want to have a lot of advertising in it. So how many pages are in it is probably going to be a factor in terms of what kind of investors we have with it at that point. But we know that we can put out about a 60-page issue in the spring. So that's what this is about. And it's 60 pages is not like some of these magazines you see around. That means content. It's not like 5 pages of real content and 25 pages of ads, and then 10 pages of fake reviews you did to get those other ads that fill out the rest of it. You know, so that's you get a real content there. Yeah.
Brendan, thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks for your interest.